How's it going, everyone? I am done with the Arizona Trail, back home, getting settled in. Now it's time for the post-hike gear overview. I've done a million of these in the past, and I feel like a lot of the stuff is getting redundant at this point, so we'll kind of speed run through some things. If things work just fine, then I've featured it in other videos of other hikes. I'm just going to breeze right through it and focus on more things that may be new or that I had issues with, so we'll get right into it now. I guess I'll go ahead and start us off with the backpack, the Durston Kakwa 55. This was the first trail I used this one on. I've used their smaller pack, the 40 liter, on the PCT and CDT, and that one worked just fine until it broke down after thousands of miles. But so far, with 800 miles on it, this pack is going good, and nothing else to say about it. I really like it, and we'll see how many more I can put on before this thing finally gives away. And we'll do the tent next. Still rocking the Nemo Hornet 1P. This tent has done the entire CDT and the Arizona Trail, so it's got over 3,500 miles on it, and this thing is definitely dead. It's a great little tent. I absolutely love them, but I burn through these things. They seem to only last about 2,000 plus miles, your average long distance through hike, and before they start falling apart. The zipper is totally dead on this thing, and the mesh itself is starting to get holes in it and just fray apart. So this thing's gone. I'm throwing this in the trash. Otherwise, I like the tents. Just I burn through gear too fast. And the last of the big three items we'll touch on is the sleep system. The sleeping bag just worked out just fine. It's still going strong. This thing's done the CDT and the Arizona Trail at this point. All the rest of my sleep setup is going perfect. And same with the Thermarest Neo Air X Lite. This thing's got over 3,500 miles on it doing the CDT and the Arizona Trail. 0 punctures from anything I've ever slept on so far. A lot of people have a lot of misfortune with the inflatable pads, but I'm super lucky as far as what I tend to sleep on. Spiky grass and everything else included, and still 0 punctures, so I really like this thing. I'm going to keep rocking the same one until I destroy it. I guess we'll touch on clothes next. Everything worked out great. I've got all the socks. They're still going strong. A couple pairs of underwear still good. Pants are good. I really like these Columbia Silver Ridge pants. They seem to only last about 2,000 plus miles before they start breaking apart, so with these ones I've only got 800 on it. They're still going good, and with the sun intensity out there, same as on the CDT, I've noticed that the material is a little faded, but otherwise it's still going good. I'm going to take this one on next through hikes until the pants start breaking down. And the sun hoodie's still going strong. I usually start blowing out the shoulders on these things as well after 2,500 plus miles, but with only 800 on it, this thing is also still going good. Sleepwear, still going good. Something else with rain gear. I brought these rain gloves, but never needed to use them. Sometimes when it's really cold and really wet, you really need something like this. They're very lightweight, and having this in your backpack is one of those things where it's better to have it and not need it, and then when you need it and you don't have it, you're kind of out of luck. But never needed to wear these on the trail, but still carried them anyways. Rest of the rain gear is kind of the same. I never wore any rain gear out there, only once or twice where I was doing laundry in a hotel or something, and I just needed something to wear, so I'm not walking around naked back and forth to the laundry machines. So that's all I ever used with my rain gear. And I've got the hat that I always usually wear with the rain clothing. I usually wear this with in towns as well. Speaking of which, I left my town shirt upstairs, but that thing's still going strong. That green button-up shirt. Hat. I finally killed the Outdoor Research sun hat that I had, I don't know how many, 7,500, 8,000 miles on it at some point, but the fabric on the top is the thinnest and it was getting holes and finally blew out the top of the sun hat. So I picked up this one when I was in Flagstaff. Same design, another Outdoor Research sun hat. These work great from what I've found out. Clothing, cold weather related. I've got my beanie still going good. My puffy jacket still going good. I sleep in this thing when it's cold enough, and works just fine as that extra layer in your sleeping bag. The cold weather gloves are still going good. And I think one of the last clothing items I've got is the shoes I took, the same little Oboz pair. Lasted all 800 miles. I think I could probably get some more miles out of it, but I think for my next hike I'll probably just get a brand new pair and toss these ones at some point, but they were going good for what they are. And I always rock the Dirty Girl Gators. I picked these up halfway through the CDT at some point in Wyoming, I think, and they're just at the point where they're starting to get holes in them and get destroyed. It's another piece of gear that usually only lasts about 2,000 plus miles before you got to get them replaced. So they're good for what they are, but it's time to get new gaiters as well. Next up, I think that takes us to the food and water related items. Water procurement, I'm still loving the Catadine and Be Free. I think I went through 2 of these filters at least on the trail. They seem to get clogged up and wear down after 4 to 6 weeks or so out there. Still using the same cook kit and stove and stuff that I had out there on the CDT and such. All this stuff's still working good. I was going to start the trail with a smaller fuel can, but I couldn't find one in Sierra Vista right before I started, so I had to go with this bigger sized one. And I'm kind of glad that I did. This one can lasted me the entire trail. I never needed to get a new one. And it's just at the point where I could probably get like 1 or 2 more burns out of it, and that'd be about it. So one large can worked out for me the whole time. And for food storage, I just used this Light AF kit. I used this bag for the first time on this trail and thought it worked out just fine. I never hung it in a tree. I just slept with it the whole time, and that worked out great. I think there was only a few locations up when you're kind of in those Ponderosa pine type areas, which would even give the opportunity for hanging a food kit, but I think at this point I'm just getting more and more lazy with my food storage and just sleeping with it the whole time. The only times I definitely take food stuff seriously is when there's grizzly bears around, but don't lead by my example. In that case, you should always do some kind of more secure food storage, try to hang it or something. At least keep the critters out of it, but I've never had anything break into my food before, so I'm still going lucky, I guess, in that regard. Next up is all my electronic stuff. Everything worked out great. All my cables, the way I was filming everything and making copies of all my videos and stored them on the external SSD, all that stuff's still going strong. The Anchor 20,000 battery is still going good. And headlamp. I never used this the entire trail. In general, I don't night hike or anything else. It's always good to have a headlamp, but never actually used it the whole time. The Garmin InReach Mini is still going good. I think I didn't mention in my CDT gear review, but this thing is starting to break down a little bit as far as how much charge capacity and its drainage there. On the CDT, I was, and the PCTs when I first picked this thing up, but I was using it to where it would send like a 10-minute tracking interval, and then family and friends and stuff could follow along more directly. But I noticed towards the end of the CDT, usually in its kind of max usage mode where it was sending a 10-minute plot, I could probably get about 4 to 5 days on a full charge out of this thing. And then it seemed like all at once overnight, the charge on it just wouldn't hold, and it would every day it would be like a dead battery, and I had to recharge it way more. So all I did was I'm still using this to send messages and stuff when I need to, and it's kind of always active, so somebody else tracking me could send a ping message to try to do a signal location. But I was not doing the 10-minute tracking plots, and that seemed to save enough battery power where it's kind of back to that 4 to 5 day charge in between refilling this whole thing up, and that's just fine. So it's got a weak battery. I don't want to replace this thing yet. These things are kind of expensive, either like $250, $300 just for this little device. But it's still doing what I need. I can still send messages, still use it as an SOS beacon. I'm just not getting the accurate plot points as often as I would like to, I guess. More miscellaneous stuff that I had out there is still going good. My little blue ditty bag, it had my first aid kit, patch repairs kit, fingernail clippers and things like that. All that stuff has been fine. I never needed a single Band-Aid out there, and I never took any Advil, but I carried a little bit of that. And some of the final miscellaneous things I had out there. Had a little pack towel for wiping up condensation and a little microfiber lens cloth thingy for my glasses and my camera lens. Toiletry stuff's been working great. I always had plenty of toilet paper out there. And I took the sunscreen. I was using it. I think my face got a little red in a couple of shots, but I never got any sunburn, which was fine. Nice little tan on the hands, but that was about it for out there. Well, I think this takes us to the last item I'm going to talk about gear-wise, and that's the trekking poles I had out there. These are from Gossamer Gear. They've got these ultralight trekking poles that I think are pretty popular. A lot of people like them. For some reason, I don't think they worked out too well for me. The main positive is that they're super ultralight, so they're awesome in that regard, but there's a lot of little things that I didn't like about them. The handle in general just didn't seem to work for me. I like using the Black Diamond ones with the ergonomic grip that kind of tilts forward just a little bit, and it seems to work much better. And this one just kind of wasn't a great feel, and it seemed to slip out of my hands a lot of times. Maybe because it's so light, or the shape of the grip or something, but I'd be walking normally, I wouldn't snag it on anything, and it would just fly out of my hand. So it was just easier to bounce out of your hand, I guess is the only way to describe it. Let's see, other little quirks about it is that I don't use straps, never have. It seems like it locks your hand in place. I like being more free with my hand placement. And in a lot of other designs of trekking poles, you kind of pull out a little lock pin and you can remove the straps or change them out. But with these ones, they seem to be permanently attached in there with no way to remove them. So I had to cut them off. Not a big deal, it's just kind of weird that way. On one of them, the material here was coming apart. If you can kind of see how that kind of bends down. So I don't know, it's just with only 800 miles on it, it is fraying apart for some reason at the top of the handle. And it's, instead of like lock toggles, it's got this twist design for loosening it and tightening it. And this took a while to get used to. You really have to wrench it down super tight, because at the beginning I had it where I would tighten it down and it wouldn't be tight enough to where I was putting weight on it and it was still collapsing. So that's definitely a safety hazard. You've got to really, really wrench it down to lock it in place, and then it became a little bother when you're getting picked up for a hitch or something and you actually want to collapse these down. You got to spend like a minute trying to untighten it as much as you can to get it to collapse in. Not too big of an issue, just a little bother there. In general, I don't like these. They're really expensive. I guess I'm going to keep using them for future hikes until I absolutely destroy these things. I can definitely see why so many thru hikers start their own gear companies, because everyone is so particular about a different type of gear and nothing works for everyone. And I just haven't found the right trekking poles yet. Anyway, I think that's about it for this video. Quick and dirty on the gear. Let me know if you got questions. Stand by for more info as I get ready for my next thru hike, so that'll be the next video coming out. So stand by for that. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all in the next one.